Hello and what's up, everyone? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Blind Eye Live. I'm your host, Blind Eye himself, Hunter King, and starting a little early. Gonna try and keep this thing to about an hour. Got stuff I've got to do this afternoon, but so start off the show. Two NBA playoff games last night. The Clippers have evened the series with the Utah Jazz, and I just have a feeling that the Clippers are going to finish the series off. Maybe home court matters that much, but I think the Clippers have figured the Jazz out. And Kawhi just isn't going to let the Clippers lose. We might look at some box scores at some point. But Clippers fairly handily beat the Jazz. I think it was 118 to 105. The Hawks even the series against the Sixers. Joel Embiid, his knee still hurting. They probably should not have played him in this game. He went 0 for 12 in the second half. He looked like he was nowhere close to 100%. He did not look as good as he did in Game 3. So, series tied going back to Philly for Game 5. And the Sixers better be careful because the Hawks absolutely have the firepower to beat them, especially if Embiid's hurt. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm checking for something. Oh. Dude, I hate all these freaking autoplay ads. All right, let's go back to Monday. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, I found the scores. Let me flip over here. All right, cool. Let's start with Jazz Clippers, and we'll go to the box score for that game. Because, yeah, this game was never in doubt. The Clippers just crushed Utah. That first quarter was brutal. 30-13, and basically the Clippers just kind of cruised the rest of the way there. Because they outscored them by another 7 points in the second quarter. They were up 20 at halftime. At that point, I had moved on with my life. Utah did outscore the Clippers in the second half, but they only outscored them by 10 in the second half. Did I have my mouth right? Oh, wait. 17 plus 7. That's 24. So, yeah, they outscored them by 24. So, that explains it. So, yeah. So, they ended up winning by 14. They were able to coast in the second half. Let me see here. Let me move my camera position here. Nope, I don't want that. I want my video capture device. Boom. Okay. So, let's see. Sorry if I'm kind of like right in the camera. I love how everything on this site's formatted differently. I look at a box score and everything's, centered towards the left. I look at an article, everything's centered to the right. So Jazz, um, Donovan Mitchell, of course, led the team in minutes, and he had kind of a crap game. 9 of 26 shooting, 6 of 15. 6 of 15 shooting is not terrible from three. I mean, that's 40%, but you'd kind of hope you're hitting more shots when you're taking that many. 13 of 15 from the line, so he was getting to the line, but 37 points on 26 shot attempts is not great, especially when you're shooting that many free throws. He was minus 15 for the game. Interestingly enough, they really lost their non-Gobert minutes. In 32 minutes with Gobert on the court, they were minus 1 for the game. Although his stats don't look very impressive. 11 points, 1 block, 8 rebounds. But he made all 4 of his shot attempts, and he only missed 1 free throw. But it seems that the 16 non-Gobert minutes for them was what really killed them. Royce O'Neal, 37 minutes, minus 12. Bogdan Bogdanovic played 39 minutes. He was minus 8. And the Jazz had a lot of fouls called against them. Gobert, Mitchell, Bogdanovic all have 5 fouls. 4 fouls apiece for Neal and Joe Ingles. Ingles was actually plus 4 in his 27 minutes. He was on fire. It kind of seems like they should have maybe played Joe Ingles more. But let's move on to the bench. And let's see. 13 minutes from Georges Niang. Minus 13. Who would have guessed? He had 4 fouls in 13 minutes. Derek Favors played 15 minutes. Had 4 offensive rebounds. Only rebounds he got, 2 blocks. He was still minus 14. Had 3 fouls. He's been basically a net negative this entire series. And, not just over the course of the series been minus 10. It seems like he's minus 6 to minus 14 every game. Let's see. Jordan Clarkson played 30 minutes, and what a shock, minus 16. Actually, considering his lack of scoring, I would have expected that minus number to be even worse. But his minutes have been a negative for Utah the entire series. And they shot terribly inside the arc. From behind the arc, 40.5% is really good shooting. But 33 of 17 from the field. When you're shooting 43% from the field, you're not winning. 21 to 26 from the line, 81%. That's solid, but especially over that many attempts. But let's look at the Clippers' final statistics. Nicholas Batum, his scoring output doesn't look like much, but 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block, plus 11. Batum's defense has been the biggest plus. Well, that and his secondary playmaking has been a huge plus for the Clippers. Kawhi, 9 of 19, 3 of 7 from 3, 10 of 13 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block, plus 14 for the game. Marcus Morris had arguably his best game of the series. 6 of 11 shooting, 5 of 6 from 3, 7 of 8 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, an assist, a steal. He was plus 11 over his 35 minutes, 24 points. Reggie Jackson, not the scoring threat this game. He was 2 of 4 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3 in 29 minutes. 1 rebound, 3 assists, but he was plus 9. He settled into more of a defense first role in this game. Still, like I said yesterday, Reggie Jackson having a great series, being impactful on the court. Paul George in 40 minutes. He led the Clippers in minutes.
9 of 20 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3, 9 of 10 from the line, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, 5 fouls, 4 turnovers. He was +4 in his minutes. Basically what happens, and this is pretty much par for the course for the Clippers, when Paul George plays without Kawhi, they tend to lose those minutes. But a lot of those minutes tend to be Paul George and a bench-heavy unit, so that can even some of that out. Zubac, they played for 18 minutes in this game, so he got a bump in minutes. 3 of 3 from the field. It's like when he does shoot, it seems like he doesn't miss. 2 of 4 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, an assist, a block, 3 turnovers, 5 fouls in 18 minutes, though. But they were net even when he was on the court. So if your bench guys can just survive the minutes without your starters when you have as effective a starting lineup as the Clippers do, that's cash money for you. Let's see. Patrick Beverley played 20 minutes, made his only shot of the night, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. He had 4 blocked shots. My goodness, and only 1 foul. Turnover, 2 points, +3 in his 20 minutes. So if you're winning minutes with your bench players on the court, once again, that's a win. Big win for you in the game. Terrence Mann, his offensive statistics, 1 of 5, 0 of 2 from 3, 1 of 1 from the free throw line, 15 minutes. That doesn't look great. 4 rebounds. Doesn't have any other stats, really, a foul, but he's 2 fouls, +15 in his 15 minutes. Scored only 3 points, had 4 rebounds. Why? Because Terrence Mann is a great defensive player. Seriously, when you have a bench guy who, in his minutes, you win, that's great news for you. Typically. Luke Kennard, only 12 minutes, 3 of 5 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, a rebound. He was +6 with a foul, 8 points. I kind of am shocked that Kennard's not playing more, but... So, as a team, they shot 46.8% from the field, 40.5% from 3, shot 82% from the line, 81.6%. But they shot 38 free throws. They were 31 to 38, and that's the difference in this game. For the most part, they shot 12 more free throws, hit 10 more. And actually, if you're looking at the shooting percentages, they shot less than 1% better from the free throw line. They shot exactly the same percentage from 3. They shot 10 less 3-pointers, made 2 less. How does that line up with the same percentage? Weird. The thing is, they shot slightly better from inside the arc, 36 of 77 for the night. The Jazz were 33 of 77. It just really came down to the free throw shooting. I mean, hitting 3 more shots on your attempts, that's typically 6 more points. They made 2 less threes, so, that subtracts that gap to 4, but 10 more points from the free throw line. The Jazz just being unable to, I guess, not foul is what kind of undid them in this game, if you're looking at all the stats for the game as a whole. So, we got an even series game. This series goes back to Utah for Game 5. So far, the home team's won every game. But, I don't know. The Clippers really have shown a lot of improvement in this series. If the Jazz could get Mike Conley back, Conley would be a huge boon to their team, or at least you would think. But if I'm a Jazz fan, I'd be worried right now.
I'd be very worried right now. In your other playoff game from last night, well, if I can get the thing to go backward. There we go. The other game from last night, Sixers, Hawks. I said yesterday I thought the Sixers were going to win this game, and well, they collapsed in the fourth quarter. Well, I say collapsed. They only got outscored by 5 points, but you outscore them by 8 points in the first quarter, 5 points in the second quarter. You're up 13 at halftime. And you allow Atlanta to destroy you in the third quarter by 11, and then you allow them outscoring in the fourth quarter. The Hawks just wrecked them in the second half. Of course, like I said, part of that is Joel Embiid just having a downright awful second half. So he was 4 of 8 in the first half. He did make all his free throws in the game, 8 of 8. And you look at his numbers, 21 rebounds, 4 assists. But defensively, he had no blocks or steals, which is weird for him. And he was just awful in the second half. 17 points for the game. He was a net even in this game. So if you're looking at that, it's like, so they're net even when he's on the court. That means they lost the game when he was off the court. And I'm going to guess Atlanta went on that big run in the third quarter maybe with him off the court. But they probably would have had to have had some of that run with him on the court because I'm assuming in the first half he was a positive. I didn't get to watch this game. Tobias Harris in 39 minutes, 8 of 15, 2 of 3 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, 20 points. But he was minus 8 for the game. So I'm guessing the Hawks went on part of their second half run against a bench unit that was basically led by him. I'm going to say him, and they gave Furk and Korkmaz the start with Danny Green out, and Danny Green being out, like I mentioned, might be a big factor. Well, Korkmaz had to play 25 minutes. And 4 of 9, 2 of 5, not bad shooting. He had 2 blocks during the game, but minus 13 while he's on the court. Ben Simmons, 36 minutes, 5 of 10 from field, 1 of 5 from the free throw line. 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 blocks. No steals from anyone in their starting lineup. That's kind of weird. Simmons was only plus 4 for the game. Or no. Sorry. Simmons was also a net even for the game. He only had 11 points, 3 fouls. The only positive member of their starting lineup was Seth Curry, who 7 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. Misses only free throw, weirdly enough, because he's a great free throw shooter. 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He got a blocked shot. Everyone in their starting lineup but Embiid had a blocked shot. Curry had 2 turnovers, a foul, but he was plus 4, 17 points. So Philly had a couple bench players who were positive. Let's see. So Dwight Howard, 12 minutes, 3 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 free throws, 10 rebounds in 12 minutes. That's crazy. 7 points. No one on their bench blocked a shot. He had 2 turnovers, 3 fouls. He was minus 3. Rookie Tyrese Maxey actually getting some minutes, played 7 minutes, made his only shot, which is a 3-pointer, had a rebound. He was plus 7 in his 7 minutes. Maybe you should have played him a little more. I know like raw plus minus can be a little volatile, but whatever lineup combination was rolling for that 7 minutes, seems like a pretty nice lineup if you're outscoring them a point per minute.
See, Matisse Thybulle played 21 minutes. He's not a great offensive player. 2 of 7, 1 of 5 from 3. Hawks apparently just decided to leave him open in the corners. He did get a steal, though. He was -1. He's known as a defensive guy, so if you've got a bench player playing 21 minutes and you're -1 over those minutes, when you've got Embiid and Simmons and like the Sixers have had one of the top starting lineups in the league, you'd hope that Simmons and Embiid could do better than a net even. So 15 minutes from Shake Milton. He's a better offensive player than Thybulle. Equally as bad tonight. 2 of 7, or last night. 2 of 7 from the field. 1 of 2 from 3. Made all his free throws. 3 assists, but he was -5. Had 8 points. Got George Hill played 13 minutes. 1 of 3 from the field. Misses only 3. 2 rebounds. Assist, a steal. He was +4. From what it looks like, they just lost their minutes with Korkmaz is what really killed him. Korkmaz, I'm going to guess the lineup that hemorrhaged the most points based on this would have been Korkmaz, Harris, Milton, and Forkin, Korkmaz, Harris, Milton, Embiid, and Simmons? That's interesting. This is a very defense-first team. And, they shot almost 41% from 3, but, they were 43.5% from 3. From the field. You really don't want to see your team shooting less than... Once you're getting below 45% from the field, things aren't looking great for you, especially if you're not shooting tons of threes. Like, we just looked at Jazz Clippers, and the Sixers actually shot 40.7%, so like 0.2% better from 3. Basically the same from 3 as those two teams. But the Jazz and Clippers shot 47 and 37 threes apiece. So if you're going to shoot, in the low 40 percentile from the field, you better just be shooting a lot of threes. The Hawks, on the other hand, John Collins in 37 minutes, 6 of 15, 12 rebounds, block, steal, and assist, 14 points. He was +9. Their starting lineup's interesting. Clint Capella started at center. He was 6 of 9 from the field, 13 rebounds. He and Collins dominated the offensive glass. 8 offensive rebounds between them. Capella had an assist, a block. He was actually -5. 12 points in his 35 minutes. So I guess what I'm going to assume is they were positive in minutes where they had like Collins and Gallo at the 5 and the 4. Because they played a very short rotation in this game. They only had 7 players play more than 14 minutes or double-digit minutes. Trae Young in 40 minutes. His shooting percentages were terrible. 8 of 26, 3 of 11, 6 of 8 from the line. But he had 18 freaking assists. He was +7, 25 points. 25 points on 26 shots is terrible scoring efficiency. That's like Russell Westbrook levels of scoring efficiency right there, but those 18 assists really help. Let's see, Bogdanovich, 9 of 24 shooting, 4 of 13 from 3. Missed his only free throw attempt, 5 rebounds, 22 points. He was -1 for the game. Kevin Huerter played 35 minutes, 4 of 10 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, so he shot 40% from 3 and inside the arc. 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 assists, 10 points, 4 fouls. He was dead even. So, yeah, it was the lineup that probably won them the game then was Collins, Gallo, Young, Lou Williams, and one of those guys, or probably one of Bogdan, Horter, or Okongwu. Huh. So let's see here. Let's look at these guys on the bench. So Gallo didn't play very well offensively. Like 23 minutes, he missed 5 of his 6 shots. He's 4 of 4 from the line, though, 6 rebounds and assists, but he was +8, which probably means his floor spacing opened up the floor for the team. And they might have just played really good defense during that stretch. Onyeka Okongwu, a rookie, 6 minutes, 1 of 3 from the field, 2 of 2 from the line, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks. He was dead even in those minutes. Tony Snell played 8 minutes, snagged an assist, and that was it. Missed all 3 of his shots, -6. And then you've got Lou Williams, 14 minutes, 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 4 for 4 from the line, 2 rebounds, snagged a steal, was +3 with 9 points. If I'm looking at the minutes totals, I'm going to guess that they probably went on that run in the third quarter with Young, Collins, Bogdanovich, Gallo, and Williams on the floor. That would be my best guess, since I didn't watch the game. Here's another way to win a game. You don't have to shoot as well from the field if you just shoot way more shots. So they attempted the same number of free throws as the Sixers. They hit 2 more of them. It was a 3-point game. Here's how they won the game. They made exactly as many shots. They just shot 16 more times. And they attempted 13 more threes, which gave them 1 more made 3. So their shooting percentages were awful, but they were able to win off sheer volume. So it comes down to, let's look at these turnover numbers, because the Hawks only had 4 turnovers the entire game. The Sixers had 12. You can't win that way. And here's the crazier part. Like, the Hawks had 5 steals. They only had 3 more steals than the Sixers. It comes down to unforced errors at that point. Both teams had 18 fouls. But an 8-possession differential in turnovers, like, still doesn't explain being able to attempt 16 more shots. Which, I guess that comes back to the rebounding. And they had 4 more offensive rebounds. They actually got out-rebounded by 10. They just were able to get more offensive rebounds out of their rebounds. So 4 more offensive rebounds and 8 less turnovers. That gives them 12 extra, or 12 shot attempt, or
basically 12 more possessions that ended in shot attempts, most likely. The Hawks got really lucky in this game because if you're looking at the numbers, those turnover numbers definitely help, and the offensive rebounding numbers definitely help, but those shooting splits are just terrible. And for a team that you look at it looks very offensive balanced or very offensive focused in their attack, if you're winning a game that you shot worse than 37% from the field and 30% from three, you're just incredibly lucky, especially when the other team shot over 40% from three. But Embiid having a garbage tier second half definitely hurt them in this game. And if Embiid is still bothered by that knee in games moving forward, I'm going to guarantee the Hawks don't have a shooting night that bad again. And if Danny Green's going to miss the rest of this series and if the Sixers advance part of the next one, if Danny Green's not back, if Danny Green misses the rest of the series, if they don't get better play out of Korkmaz and Milton, that's going to be bad. Or potentially play Tyrese Maxey more minutes, but he's a rookie. He's very inexperienced. He could be very volatile. That's interesting. I guess there we'll move on to the next headline of the day. The NBA released its all defense teams. Actually, here's some injury stuff. James Harden's expected to return, or he's hoping to return for Game 5. That's better hope so. Let's see. Trae Young, who's dealing with some kind of shoulder ailment, is downplaying it, which could explain his poor shooting. Didn't affect his ability to pass the ball. Yeah, so let's look at the all-defense team real quick. All right, so headlining the all-defense team, you got Rudy Gobert, Ben Simmons, and Draymond Green on the first team. They are joined by Bucks teammates Drew Holiday and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think that's a solid first team defense. Beyond that, second team, you've got Kawhi Leonard, Matisse Thybulle, who very much earned it, Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. I'm pretty sure the only person I didn't have on these two teams, I don't think I had Leonard, and I think I had Marcus Smart on the team. So I think those are deserving players. Let's see who missed the cut. Suns wing Michael Bridges had 4 first-team votes and 35 total, so he just missed making the cut for the second team. Miles Turner received 5 first-team votes. He was only on 19 ballots though. And Hawks center Clint Capella, who's named to the second team on 36 ballots. And I would have voted for Capella over Turner. Turner blocked a lot of shots this year, but he's not the rebounder that Capella is, and he's not quite as good on switches against smaller players as Capella is. He is a really good defensive player, but I would have voted Capella over Turner.
So I guess those were the top 3 guys who missed the cut.
And honestly, I think that makes sense. Although, the fact that Marcus Smart wasn't even named is kind of crazy to me. But maybe I'm just going off of his reputation.
Let's see here. Let's look at this, because NBA is looking at some kind of rule change. If I can find my cursor. There we go.
NBA Competition Committee. Oh my gosh. NBA Competition Committee exploring rule changes to restrict unnatural jump shot motions. That woman's face is psychotic looking.
The league wants to limit the ability of players, including crafty stars like James Harden, Luka Doncic, and Trae Young, to lean backward and sideways, for example, to initiate contact and get to the free throw line.
Which they've been dealing with this problem for a while, because players like Russell Westbrook, who can't shoot, would do this a lot. Like, he'd come around a screen, then he would like jump backward toward, or like back where he was going, towards where the defenders trail him around a screen to get a foul called. Russ would also like kick out his legs. Harden does this. Trae Young does this.
Apparently, they've showed a video compilation of player examples to teams. And I am all for this. Like,
a foul is when a foul should occur when a player does something, or does like a non-basketball related, move to like stop, like for a defender, should I say. When you hack someone's shooting arms, when you just clearly out of control or with no ability to stop a shot, like you go through the player's body. If an offensive player is chucking themselves at a defender just to draw a foul, like if you're throwing yourself sideways back towards where you know a defender is, behind the 3-point line, it's different when like you're around the rim and there's little space. Maybe you're under the rim, and so you're jumping backward and there's a defender trying to close out because maybe you cut down the baseline and got a pass and someone's rotating from somewhere else and collides with you and you were moving towards them. That's a little different. I'm sure that what they're doing is like, it's obvious that the offensive player is just trying to initiate contact that wouldn't happen otherwise. There's a growing belief that many of these maneuvers. Oh my goodness, my eyes. My allergies are acting up. And my allergy pill apparently has not kicked in yet. There's a growing belief that many of these maneuvers are contributing to a game where the advantage is slanting way too much towards the offense. I added in the way. While the concentration of these issues is often focused on star players getting much more usage and exposure with the ball, the league sees this as a universal problem throughout lineups and rosters, not only as an issue for star players. And see, that's kind of the interesting thing, is that you notice some star players who do not seem to get near the amount of free throws as other, star players. One example, typically, that I feel like I see is like certain big men. Like, I feel like Jokic, in comparison to even other big men, doesn't get foul calls. But you get a lot of these guys who, they name like the 3 biggest names like that it usually favors: Young, Doncic, Harden. because they're the ones that are going out of their way to really create that kind of contact. Like, you don't see Kevin Durant doing the things like, launching himself sideways into defenders to get calls like that on jump shots. Comprising a select group of owners, general managers, coaches, players, and referees. They allow players on their competition committee. Maybe the NFL should think about that. Largely believes there is a framework of rules that allows offensive players too much free time to initiate contact in what are deemed unnatural and awkward ways. Too much free time or free reign. So they're... Man, they're wanting to crack down this fast. Have those rule changes in place for Summer League and the start of the next season. That'd be good, because I'm totally down to not see some of the stupid crap that I see. With that being said, we're going to move over to the NFL. Well, we've got Nets Bucks tonight. We're back in Brooklyn. But I'm going to say this. If James Harden does not play tonight, I think the Bucks have a great opportunity to take control of the series and win tonight. Because the Nets have a really good lineup, or have some really good players beyond their big three. But if it's just KD, I think it's still going to be really tough for them to win without Harden and Kyrie. Let's see. Carr would probably quit if Raiders traded him. What? Let's see. Bears tight end Jimmy Graham recalls harrowing car accident. Falcons Ridley feels no pressure to to replace Julio. I'm hitting some of these because they have to do with some holdout situations or potential holdout situations, contract situations, things of that nature. Okay, I've been waiting to see where he's signed. Minnesota Vikings have brought back Sheldon Richardson, so he played there in 2019. Okay, TV, weird. The Minnesota Vikings have brought back defensive tackle Sheldon Richardson. Richardson spent the 2018 season in Minnesota. Okay, so 2018. Although the Vikings brought in Dalvin Tomlinson to occupy the 3 technique spot opposite tackle Michael Pierce, Richardson's physical skills provide a boost. Man, their defensive tackle room just went from the weakest in the league last year to they've got Michael Pierce, who they signed last year, but he opted out. He's their nose. Dalvin Tomlinson, who to me is kind of a little more of a nose, he'll be their main 3 technique. But Sheldon Richardson on pass rushing downs, having Richardson and Tomlinson, big upgrade. Richardson gives them like a pure pass rushing type tackle. Yeah, so he played the last 2 seasons with the Browns. Started 31 games with the Browns and registered 4.5 sacks during the 2020 season. Pretty solid for a D tackle. Richardson, 30, was drafted 13th overall by the Jets in 2013. He was named the NFL's Defensive Rookie of the Year that season. He was really great over his rookie contract.
Made it to the Pro Bowl in 2014 when he set a career high with 8 sacks. Played 4 seasons in all with the franchise before he was traded to Seattle in 2017. That was the year of his 5th-year option. He has 31 sacks over 8 seasons. It's not terrible, considering I think he missed 1 year, a lot of it with injuries. 10 forced fumbles, 460 total tackles.
Not terrible for a D tackle. But he's had a couple years where he wasn't like hyper productive for whatever reason. I think one of those particularly injury. But the Vikings now have a really nice defensive tackle rotation. Let's see what this is. Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr says he has no desire to leave the team. Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr, the annual subject of trade rumors and innuendo. Trade rumors and speculation would be a better word there. Reasserted his desire to remain with the team that selected him in the 2nd round of the 2014 NFL Draft. I'd probably quit football if I had to play for somebody else, Carr said, following Tuesday's mandatory minicamp practice in his first public comments since the end of last season. I am a Raider for my entire life. I'm going to root for one team for the rest of my life. It's the Raiders. So I just feel that so strong in my heart. I don't need a perfect situation to make things right. As long as he's with the Raiders, he's cool. I'd rather go down with the chip, you know what I'm saying? If I have to. Which I like that. Which he went to college at Fresno State. And I'm guessing maybe that he's been a Raiders fan his entire life. Carr turned 30 in March, had been asked about how he viewed several of his contemporaries had aired their grievances publicly this offseason, from Deshaun Watson to Russell Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. And why Carr, who had far from an optimum roster and situation in his career with the Raiders, had remained silent. I'm that old school mentality. I'm playing for one team and that's it, he said. Whether we've won enough or not, I literally give every bit of energy and effort that I can to this organization. And when I sign a contract, I completely in my mind have to fulfill that. I committed to that. I put my name on paper. I love that. His name, his word means something. Now, let's be real here. Derek Carr is not Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, or Aaron Rodgers, although I think Carr has been underrated at certain points. It is kind of interesting to me, like this concept of players who sign contracts feeling like they're being mistreated, or a guy doesn't get a contract extension or a raise when he thinks he deserves it. It's like if you weren't happy with the contract, or with the fact that 3 years from now you were probably going to be getting underpaid because of the market going up, you shouldn't have signed a 3 or 5 year deal. It's just how I was raised, Carr went on. I'm from Fresno, California, born in Fresno. My dad worked in the car business. My mom helped with substitute teaching and all different kinds of stuff at the church. So we didn't have a whole bunch of stuff growing up, so I don't need much. Interesting. Carr signed a 5-year, $125 million extension with the Raiders in June of 2017 that briefly made him the highest paid player in the history of the NFL. And after starting his career 0-10, because that Raiders team was terrible, Carr was one win from
evening his career record in Week 3 of the 2017 season. But the Raiders went into a tailspin, and Carr's career record is now 47-63. In fact, Carr's 63 losses are the most by a quarterback in his first 7 NFL seasons. Well, he got drafted by the Raiders. But the Raiders have had a couple really good seasons in there. And Carr is, honestly, if you look at his stats and his play, most of the problems with the Raiders have been because of terrible defenses. Carr, though, is coming off career highs in passing yards, 4,103, and pass rating, 101.4 for the Raiders, who went 8-8 last season because, once again, of just an awful defense. I think Derek Carr had his best year yet under John Gruden. Raiders general manager Mike Mayock said earlier this offseason, I think he's one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, and we couldn't be happier with him. And I tell you, every year we evaluate every position every year. I have no idea who might call me or who might not call me. So you have to do the evaluations both on your own players and every other player in the league. And you got to stack your boards and understand what league value is all around the league, and we do that. That was a lot of blah speak. I mean, if someone gave you some insane value offer for Derek Carr, you'd take it. But he's not getting that. But if you're asking me about Derek, I mean, I think John and I would both stand shoulder to shoulder and pound the table for Derek Carr. Despite the relative lack of team success, Carr has set Raiders' career franchise records for passing yards and touchdown passes, and he is in line for a potential extension. For me, it's not about loyalty. It's more about being the same guy every single day, Carr said. My goal was, when I got here, to give everything I have to this organization. Let our fans know I'm giving it all I have, and I will always continue to do that. Whether the situation is great or not, that's okay. People can say whatever they want. I know what I've put on film. I know the things I've been able to accomplish, and I still want more. There's still more, and I want to do that, and I want to do it here. I don't want to do it anywhere else. I think Carr's playing to some. I think most of that is true for Carr. I think he does want to be the Raiders' quarterback. I also think that Carr realizes his standing in the league. And I think he's playing a little bit of politics here because, because a lot of fans get annoyed when players hold out, when players, they sign contracts like, oh, you want the team to do all this stuff for you, but you don't want to hold up your end of the bargain. Which that frustrates me to a degree, like a lot of these guys who hold out. Because it's like, well, what are you doing? You signed the contract. If you're not happy about the contract, you shouldn't have signed it. If you know that you're going to want more money than whatever you're being paying, we all can look at the market. We can see, money is raising up over time. The salary cap is going to go up, meaning players are going to be able to negotiate more money per year. Don't sign the long-term contract for the security if you're going to be upset when you get to that point. You're healthy and you're not getting it paid as much as someone else. It is really frustrating.
to see. Because to me, that's you going back on your word. I'm signing this contract because I'm happy with this. You're doing me a solid. I'm happy to be, doing this. And it's also, to me, and this is why I like the NBA system in terms of how the contracts work. Contracts are fully guaranteed unless a player agrees to a non-guaranteed deal or to a deal with non-guarantees. And typically, although I feel like that's happened a little more recently, but it happens mostly with fringe players or older players. Like only one contract has ever been fully guaranteed. That was Kirk Cousins' contract. He signed his first contract with the Vikings. I don't think all the money in his extension is fully guaranteed, but I could be wrong. So, like in the NFL game, like you can just release people and they don't get paid. But that's not how it works in the NBA. That's not how it works in the NHL. And I'm pretty sure that's not how it works in Major League Baseball either. It's not how it works in pretty much most sports. I think in soccer you can buy out player contracts, but I think you have to pay like that player's like salary for that year. Like their entire yearly salary for that year to get out of that contract. And depending on the contract, it might actually be more than that. Or you negotiate a buyout. Which that happens in the NBA too. But, if a player doesn't want to negotiate a buyout and you cut him, like you have to pay him all the money that he's owed on the rest of that contract. So, I don't know. It's kind of bullcrap both ways because, NFL team could sign a contract and if the guaranteed money's up or whatever, they can cut you and you don't get the rest of that money that you signed for. Vice versa, teams totally willing to pay you all the money that they've signed you for, that you've agreed to, but you're going to sit out and hold out because you're wanting more money or whatever. Or the team pissed you off for whatever reason. Browns running back Nick Chubb says he wants to stay with team when NFL rookie contract ends. Let's see. Heading into the final year of his rookie deal, Pro Bowl running back Nick Chubb said Tuesday that he wants to stay in Cleveland long term. It would mean a lot, Chubb said. Or said Chubb, who said that his agent and the team have already discussed a potential extension this offseason. Chubb, a second-round pick in 2018, has been the backbone of the Browns' offense the past two seasons, averaging 5.25 yards per carry during that span. In 2019, he came within 47 yards of beating Tennessee Titans running back Derrick Henry for the rushing title. Last season, Chubb missed 4 games because of a knee injury, but still finished 7th in the league with 1,070 yards on the ground. Over 12 games? That's really good production. As Cleveland made the playoffs for the first time since 2002. Chubb's been especially efficient late in games. Last season, he led the NFL with an average of more than 10 yards per carry in the fourth quarter. Holy crap. What? So the fourth quarter starts, you hand him the ball and you get a first down every carry? Jeez. Chubb said that his supporting cast, which includes one of the top offensive lines in the league, as well as Coach Kevin Stefanski's run-heavy offense, are among the reasons he prefers to stay in Cleveland. I don't like uncertainty, Chubb said. Last summer, the Browns extended Chubb's backfield sidekick
Kareem Hunt with a 2-year extension worth $13.25 million, keeping Hunt in Cleveland through the 2022 season. The Browns, who are holding their mandatory minicamp this week, have 2 other key players they drafted in 2018 who are extension eligible: Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward. Cleveland already picked up their 5th-year options on those guys, which will keep them under contract at least through the 2022 season. I'm going to say Ward won't get a contract extension this year. Mayfield could get one. We'll see. Typically, and what we've seen in recent history is if a team is happy with the quarterback they drafted after the 3-year mark, they're going to extend him going into year 4. That's what happened with Wentz and Goff. Of course, both those guys have been traded, but there's other guys. It's been the same way. But it wouldn't shock me if the Browns had Mayfield or waited to extend Mayfield. But if they're going to extend all 3 of those guys, and they should, it would probably behoove them to extend Chubb now, even though his franchise tag number would be the lowest of those guys, which, he's the only one who'd be an unrestricted free agent this year. But I'd go ahead and extend Chubb. And then next offseason, I'd probably extend Ward. And then if you can get a decent extension with Mayfield done, the sooner you do that, the better before, we know where the salary cap's going to jump. Now that we're going to be back to fans in the stands, and normal league revenues. But it's interesting. I don't know what I don't know exactly what I would. Sorry, I'm so stuffy. I don't know exactly what. I guess it would depend on what number Baker Mayfield's team would be fine with. But the longer they wait, the more expensive that extension is going to be. But I'd still probably wait till next season to extend Mayfield. Because out of all those guys, I'd rather pay a franchise tag for Mayfield than the other guys and negotiate from that franchise tag. Green Bay Packers Aaron Rodgers jokes about his quiet offseason interview for July 6th golf match. I don't care about that, really. See, Seattle Seahawks safety Jamal Adams set out mandatory minicamp as he looks for a contract extension. The team has excused Adams from minicamp as he deals with a personal matter. Okay. So he won't be subject to fines. They were bracing for his potential absence and were aware of a family personal issue that could be a factor. Sources told ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Adams was not at team headquarters Monday as Seattle players got their physicals ahead of their 3-day minicamp. Adams was among a handful of Seahawks who were not seen at any of the organized team activities that were open to media. Many of the team's veteran players skipped in-person work for much of the voluntary off-season program before showing up during the final week of OTAs. Players who skip mandatory minicamp without excused absences are subject to fines totaling more than $93,000. That's a lot of money. I could live for years off that. Source told ESPN earlier this month that Seattle and Adams' representatives have had discussions about a new deal.
Because he's going into his fifth-year option season, and he's one of the best safeties in the league. Wait, did I hit the same thing twice? Because I thought I hit another one down here. Yeah. Thought I hit that one. Miami Dolphins cornerback Xavier. Why are some of these muted and some of these not? Miami Dolphins cornerback Xavier Howard not at mandatory minicamp over unique contract renegotiation. Unique as in he signed the richest contract a corner had ever signed in history, and now it's been like 2 years or whatever, and he's no longer the highest paid, so he's mad. He didn't show up for mandatory minicamp Tuesday morning, so it's officially a holdout. Coach Brian Flores broached the issue at length Tuesday morning that he didn't think Howard would be there for minicamp, while mentioning unique and renegotiation after one several times in regard to his contract. It's pretty clear this is a contract situation, which we've talked about internally. For us said X is a little bit of a unique situation. He was extended, and now we're talking about a potential renegotiation after 1 year. Because technically that extension kicked in, I guess, last year. Those turned into longer conversations. We understand that. We've obviously had, and this is the stupid thing. So Xavier Howard agreed to a contract, and this is the kind of stuff that really makes fans angry. It's not like, all the guaranteed money's gone and that player's sitting here like, well, I could be totally out, So in terms of average annual value, so May of 2019, he signed this extension, which kicked in, last season or whatever. Last offseason, his team signed Byron Jones to a contract, which I think had less money but a higher annual average or whatever. Darius Slay signed a contract March of last year as well that was or an extension that was a little higher than Jones's. Tre'Davious White then in September was made the highest paid corner. October, Marlon Humphrey was given a much bigger contract than that, and then Jalen Ramsey signed, Jalen Ramsey signed his in September, so Humphrey probably got that bump because Ramsey signed his contract. So now Xavier Howard's sitting here like, well, now I'm the sixth highest paid corner in the league. And it's like, yeah, but you're still the sixth highest paid corner in the league, and you just signed this contract. He's still got guaranteed money left on this deal. So let's look at what they go into. Howard, who hasn't shown up to any portion of the Dolphins' voluntary offseason program this year, can be fined up to $93,085 for skipping mandatory minicamp. $15,515 for the first missed day, and then it, increases. Basically, it doubles for the next day, and then so basically, like the first day you get fined. The second day you get fined double that first day amount. The third day triple. So, interesting. When healthy, Howard is one of the NFL's best lockdown cornerbacks.
He led the NFL in interceptions last year with 10, and that's what he's basically going off of here is you signed me to that extension because I led the league in interceptions. Because I think he led the league in interceptions in 2018. Then he missed some time in 2019 with injuries. Then last season he had 10, led the interception, most by a player since Antonio Cromartie in 2007. He finished third in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and to me, you could argue he was Defensive Player of the Year, and had a strong argument for winning the award over Aaron Donald and T.J. Watt. Howard feels like he's outplayed the 5-year, $75.25 million extension he signed in May 2019, which is set to pay him $12 million, or a little over $12 million this year, and $49.325 million over the next 4 seasons. So that's the other thing. This was structured in a specific way. There was a lot of money paid up front in year 1. Well, really over the first 2 years, because it was a 5-year extension, but he had a year left on his contract at the time. And I believe he had gotten a performance kicker for that last year of his rookie deal because of his production. So it's called a 5-year, $75 million extension, but it was really like a 6-year, $80-something million contract. So he still has 4 years and just short of $50 million left on this deal, because they put a bunch of money and bonuses in those first 2 seasons of that deal. New England Patriots cornerback Stephen Gilmore, who signed a 5-year, $65 million deal in free agency in 2017 and is set to make $7 million this year, is also holding out a mandatory minicamp because all of his guaranteed money's been paid. It's interesting how things get structured. Because of how teams structure deals a lot of times, you've got bonuses and stuff. So you sign for a certain amount, and you have base salaries, and then those guarantees get pushed to whatever. The market has changed since both those deals, obviously, because time has moved forward. Howard saw the Dolphins sign cornerback Byron Jones to a 5-year, $82.5 million deal in March 2020. Oh, that's right. I guess it was a little more expensive than his deal then. And then Howard outplayed Jones this past season, which has a role in in his desire for a new deal. Los Angeles Rams cornerback Jalen Ramsey is now the NFL's highest paid cornerback after signing a 5-year, $100 million extension. We love X. We love him. He's very productive. He's a team player. He's an important player on this team. Unique situation, Flores said. We want to keep him here. Specific to Byron, markets are set every year, and that's part of the conversation. That's what makes this unique. Multiple teams have approached the Dolphins about a Howard trade over the past year. Really, what Miami should do is my thing is, they shouldn't negotiate and just make him like one of the 3 highest paid cornerbacks. They should sit here and look and be like, look, we're willing to up your base salary a certain degree, but like the thing is, he signed a contract and he got a bunch of money up front. Like, he was way higher paid than most corners over the first 2 years of this deal. But Miami should probably give him a new contract because he is that freaking good. At least that's my opinion.
But they do have a bunch of young corners. Because they drafted Noah Igbenogany in the first round last year. And then I'm trying to remember who they drafted. And I believe they drafted another cornerback in the middle rounds this year. But that's a unique situation. And, of course, you also have the Stephon Gilmore situation, which the Patriots have been talking about, or there have been conversations. Teams have been trying to gauge whether the Patriots would be willing to trade him. And because of Gilmore's relatively low price tag for his talent level this year, he might go for higher than your average. Like, he would probably get a higher pick return, I would think, than Julio Jones did. Like, I could see Gilmore warranting a first or getting a first round pick because the money is easier to manage. So, with that being said, that's all I've got today. I hope y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday. I'll probably be back on Thursday, unless something comes up. So, thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. This has been BlindEyeLive. Please hit the like button if you liked what you heard, or if you liked the show. Subscribe if you want more. And please leave comments. I read those. Except I said that yesterday, and then I was busy yesterday evening, and I haven't checked the comments yet. So Thursday, if there are any comments off the two videos, I will probably look at those tomorrow, jot them down, and respond. So, tell me what y'all think about how y'all feel about the player contract stuff. Do you agree with a guy like Xavier Howard that, yeah, I signed this contract, but all these other guys are signing contracts, and I'm the top guy in the league. I've got a teammate who at the same position who I outplayed last year, who's going to make several million more dollars than me this year. I mean, I'm kind of like, boo-hoo, you signed the contract, but I still do get that sentiment of like, look, I'm your top guy. I should be paid like it. But my thing is, if you want to make sure you're the highest paid guy at your position every year, maybe don't sign a 5-year contract extension on top of the 1 year you have and make your contract a 6-year contract. That's just me. But you let me know. And let me know who you think is going to win these NBA, or who's going to make it on to the conference semifinals or the conference finals out of these 4 playoff series. Obviously, the Suns have already made it, but we've got 2-2 series all around with Clippers, Jazz, Nets, Bucks, and Sixers, Hawks.